This is Geometry, Semester 2. This is the third unit called Solids. This is the fifth lesson, Volume of Cylinders and Slant Cylinders, otherwise known as oblique. This is on creatormath.com under the Geometry tab. The instructions are copy the following problems 1 through 4 into your composition book on the correct pages according to the table of contents with the notes for those pages. Do not forget the notes, you guys. That's on a separate document here. It's a photo, either of the board or my notes, and you copy those into the correct pages in the composition book. And again, it's on creatormath.com under the Geometry tab. I want you to pay attention if it says problems 1 through 4. Even if you see other problems, you do not have to copy those into your comp book. So do yourself less work. Follow the numbers here, 1 through 4. All right? Well, so we have the shape a cylinder. And, at the risk of copyright infringement, if you just imagine, a Coca-Cola can, right? That's the easiest and maybe most known cylinder to us all. A cylinder is this shape. You've learned it a long time ago. We're going to find the volume of this for the following solid. It's called a solid. The radius is 5, so here's a dimension. Radius is 5. That goes from the center of the circle at the end of the cylinder out to the side or touching the circle. The radius is 5 feet. They gave us a dimension. We have a height of 10, so this is 10 feet. And this is 5 feet. Hint, the volume of a cylinder is pi times radius squared times the height of the cylinder. So they're already giving us the formula. You can look at the notes to clarify this, and there are examples in the notes, but let's go ahead and go with this. We're going to say volume. And so students ask me, what is volume, right? The easiest thing to do is remember, if this is a Coke can, how much Coke fits in it? That's the volume. How much Coke fits in there? What's the volume? How much liquid? We measure it in a cubic volume, right? And that's what it is. So we're going to do pi. I'm going to draw the pi symbol like this, times radius squared, and it's times the height of the cylinder. And I might say perp height. I might clarify that a little. Perp stands for perpendicular. Perpendicular means there's a 90-degree angle on this height, and we're going to use that especially when we get to the next shape. Notice this one's oblique or slanted. We definitely want that perpendicular height. So maybe we'll just start now, put it into our formula. Well, v equals pi. We have a radius of 5. I'm going to go ahead and put the units in, and I'm going to say 5 feet squared times the perpendicular height, which is 10 feet. Volume equals, leave the pi the way it is. In the old days, when you were in elementary school or maybe middle school, your teacher said put in 3.14 there. No way. Now in high school and beyond, you're going to keep it pi because we want all the digits of pi. The symbol means 3.1415926, whatever all the numbers are, right? We don't redo it with 3.14. That creates error. So leave it pi. Let's take 5 squared, which is 25, feet squared, which is feet squared, times the 10 feet. V equals pi. 25 times 10 is 250. Feet squared times feet to the 1 power is feet cubed. Aww, the units work out. We don't like to say pi 250 feet cubed. We like to say 250 pi feet cubed. Notice we leave the pi in the final answer. And down here, sure enough, 250 pi. It's spelled out pi here. That's the volume. And if you wanted to know what the actual was, you could take your calculator and do 250 times 3.14 and get sort of an approximate volume, but we want accurate, so we're leaving the pi in the final answer. Now we're going to go to an oblique shape. It's the same formula. Volume equals pi, r squared. Notice that this is the area of a circle, and guess what's on the end of a cylinder? A circle. So it's a circle times the perpendicular height, and I'm going to say perp height. Perpendicular height, and that means it's at 90 degrees to the base. It's the same formula, just make sure you're using perpendicular height. What do they give us here? They say diameter. We have a diameter. We want radius. So let's say pi. We're going to take 10 centimeters, and because it is a diameter, we must divide it by 2. We're going to square it, because that's the formula. This is going to take 10 divided by 2 is 5 squared, right? It's going to be a radius of 5. We could put in 5, but I like doing it this way because if the numbers get complicated, I'm going to put it all into my calculator in one fell swoop. And the perpendicular height of 10 centimeters. V equals pi 10 divided by 2 is 5 squared is 25. Centimeters squared is centimeters squared times 10 centimeters. And maybe I'll just use some parentheses to help my eyes focus on multiplication. 225 times 10 is 250. Centimeters squared times centimeter to the 1 is centimeters cubed. So sure enough, 250 pi centimeters cubed. 250 pi centimeters cubed. Notice the centimeters caret 3, right? The caret's used when you type power. What is the volume of the following? And it looks like they're just going to give us 2 more of these. That's why there's only 4 problems. We're going to start out with the formula. Again, they gave it to us here. Pi r squared times the perpendicular height. Volume equals pi r squared times the perpendicular height of the shape. We've got v equals pi. What's our r? They say radius is 6 feet, so there it is there. So we've got 6 feet. Drop it all in and then square both, including the unit, because that helps us come up with feet cubed. Times the height. Height is 10 feet here. I'm looking right here for height. And let's clean this up with v equals pi 6 times 6, that's what squared is 36. Feet squared is feet squared times this 10 feet still. I'm doing them separately to help my brain do one thing at a time if at all possible. V equals pi 36 times 10 is 360. Notice how nice they made the computation for us. Feet squared times feet is feet cubed. Let's rearrange it the way that it's more likely to be a number. Pi feet cubed. We're leaving pi in the answer. 360 pi feet cubed. Remember that on my answer sheet, it's the first answer all the time. When you take these in your assessment, it will randomize those answers. Oblique or slanted cylinder, remember the perpendicular height. We're still back to volume equals, and these are all just 4 volume problems, right? So I'm kind of rolling through it. Pi r squared is the shape, the area of the shape of the end piece. You'll notice that play out when we get to different shapes, like a triangular prism. We'll use the area of the triangle times the perpendicular height. So area of a circle times the perpendicular height. V equals pi. What's our radius? Diameter, 14 centimeters. Well, 14 centimeters can go in directly as long as I divide it by 2 and square the whole thing according to r squared, because that'll be 7 squared. Perp height h here is 10 centimeters. V equals pi 7. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Squared is 49. Centimeters squared is centimeters squared times 10 centimeters. V equals 490. Let's see if I can do it all at once. 49 times 10. 490. Keep the pi in there. I'm just going to rearrange it here a little bit. Centimeters squared times centimeter to the 1 is centimeters cubed. 490 pi centimeters cubed. You're finding this on creatormath.com. Make sure you're under the geometry tab and make sure you're following this title specifically of the problem sets and follow where it goes in your comp book.